What is up, everybody? Welcome back to 9 to 5 Gamers. I should be saying that to myself because I have been gone for a very long time. Let me tell you, it's been a busy month. I got sick for a week, which I think it was COVID. I was very, very sick, and I lost my voice for another week. But the week after that, I was in convention for work, and then the week after that, I was at Dice Tower East, and I just got back from Dice Tower East. And got back, I'm saying that kind of like loosely, because Dice Tower East, I commute to go to it instead of staying at the hotel because it's super expensive, but it is in the area that I live, so it's here in Orlando, Florida. So anyways, I went to Dice Tower East and I got to play a lot of games, about 24 games that were new to me, and I was really excited for just all the amazing games that they had over there. This year was a bit interesting. I think last year I played a lot of games that I was like, man, this was amazing. This year, a lot of the games I played were okay, you know what I mean? I felt like most of what I played was like in the 7 range, and there was a couple of games up there that were like 8s and above. But I'm going to go through all the games that I played and that made my top 10. And so today is the top 10 about we're going to do the bottom 10, and then we'll do the top 10 the day after. But I did play a lot of games, so both of these lists are going to be amazing. So let's start at my number 20, technically. So my number 20 is a game that I guess I liked it because I got to play with Eric Summerer from the Dice Tower. He's the guy who does all the like voiceovers and the announcements for the introductions and stuff like that. But I got to play a game called Biomos with him, which was a really interesting game where you've got this little planet and there's like these little discs that you put around the planet. The planet has like a little ring around it, and you put these discs in and you try to, when it's your turn, you get to draft one from like a set of 5 depending on your player count, and you put these things inside this little ring, and then you can move them around and reorganize them to put them in between 2 different orbs, and you're trying to meet up with these like certain criteria. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like Splendor, but on this little board, and as you're sliding these things around, they have like special abilities that can cause like different discs to turn to a different type of terrain, because they're like different terrains. It was very interesting. I enjoyed the game. It wasn't my favorite game of the con, but it was definitely there in my top 20, so it was really cool. But I think I liked the experience because I got to play with Eric, and I thought that was really, really fun. After that, my number 19 is a game called Vegetable Stock that they had in the Hot Games. Vegetable Stock is great, man. It is a stock market game where you have different veggies that are worth different point values, and you're going to be, if you're playing with like 4 people, for example, you'll have 5 different cards you can draft that have symbols on them. They'll have like 2 carrots and a broccoli, and so you draft that card, and the next player drafts theirs, and then whatever's left over, since there's 1 extra card, it'll have like 2 tomatoes and eggplant. And so then you take those cards, or you take the cards of those different vegetables, and you shift them up on the stock market, and so they increase in value. But this keeps happening every round of drafting that you do, so that by the end of the game, the stocks have shifted dramatically, and then some stocks don't shift at all, or they just go up in value and never go down. If they get to the top of the card, they crash and they go down to a value of 0, and they have to work their way back up. Vegetable Stock was amazing. I actually really enjoyed it. It was super quick to learn and teach, very fast to play. I really enjoyed Vegetable Stock, and I think that it's going to be an amazing game once it comes out, because I don't think it's out just yet. But we really had a good time playing that one. Next up on the list is a game called Dragon Keepers. I remember watching the review for this from Dice Tower, and I was like, ooh, that sounds like the type of game I'd be interested in. And I got to play it, and it's super interesting. I struggled to even explain what this game is like on this video because it's so interesting and unique. But basically, there's like 2 decks of cards. The left deck is like the left page of a book, and then the right deck has the right pages of a book. And then when you take the top 2 cards off the deck and flip them over, it's just pictures of different colored dragons. There'll be a red dragon on the left, or maybe a blue dragon on the right, and you get to pick dragons and start like collecting them in your hand. And then the left page of the book has a number, the right page has a color of a dragon that you need to meet. So it might say the number 2, and it might say red dragon. So if you have 2 red dragons, then you meet that criteria, you play them from your hand in a tableau in front of you, and then you collect the rewards, and you're building these little talismans. Talismans are made from 4 pieces. It's 3 circular pieces that connect, and then a little gem that goes in the center that have point values on them, different point values. And so whoever makes like 4, artifacts ends the game, and then you flip over the artifacts and count up the points, and that's how you win the game. But it's so cool because you can actually manipulate the book. So like you can take the cards from your hand, which are a bunch of different colored dragons, and you can like look at the backs of them, and they have like different numbers and different colored dragons on them. So you could actually be like, I have 2 red dragons, but the book says I need 3. So I actually have a card that has a 2 on it. I can put that back into the book and make it 2 red dragons. And then I meet the criteria and I can put them down. And there's some other rules, but I don't want to give you a whole how to play with this thing. But it was super fun. I really liked it. That's why it is my number 18. My number 17 game was Let's Go to Japan. Biggest thing I can say about this game is that it's amazingly produced. It is a beautiful, very pretty game. I think it was gorgeous, like the production quality and everything. The person who taught us did a pretty good job of teaching us, but we had so many questions, and I think maybe, I don't know if it was the way it was explained to us, and maybe I got a bit lost in the explanation, or I was just zoned out. I noticed that this year I know for a fact, I know myself, and I can't learn by somebody teaching me. Like when somebody teaches me, I'm like ADD, like I zone out, and I'm that guy. I have to learn by reading the instruction booklet for myself. And when I do that, I know how to play the game, and also I can teach people how to play the game, which I love doing because I'm a teacher and I love teaching. And so I guess the explanation of the game kind of soured the experience for me because I did not understand really what I was doing till I started scoring at the end, and then I was like, oh, okay, I see how this really works. But by that time, it was already too late. And the kid next to me ended up winning, which he did a really good job. And he caught on to the game super quick. But for me, I'm just dumb and plain ignoramus. And I did not get the game. But it was still a really fun experience. And it's really cool. You're just kind of like taking cards, and it's drafting, so you like take a card, pass a card to the next player. But the thing is that when you pass the card, that player doesn't take it into their hand. They put it into like a little pile over here, and then you do that a couple of times, and then at a certain point in the game, you take that pile of cards and then choose from there what you want to play. And then there's like pink cards and blue cards. Anytime you shift from playing pink cards and start playing blue, you have to have a train ticket because you're crossing from Kyoto to Japan. And so you have to put those train tickets in between the blue and the pink cards. And if you didn't do that enough, you're going to have to actually pay your victory points to I think it's your victory points, but you have to pay victory points to get train tickets to do that, so you're losing points just so that you can make those transitions. Really cool game, man. I think I would definitely play it again. I really enjoyed it, and that's why it's my number 17. My number 16 is a game called Skyrise. Skyrise is probably, besides Foundations of Rome, the most overly produced game I have ever played in my life, and I am here for it because it was really nice. You know what I mean? Like I felt like Foundations of Rome was like, it's so grandiose, and it's like this game is like $200, and it's so simple to play, but it's so big and so like. For me, I didn't really enjoy Foundations of Rome as much, and I was like, man, for me, sometimes those big games feel like they're compensating for something. You know what I mean? Like they feel like these games are like overly produced, but then the game mechanics are not that great. But Skyrise was actually pretty cool. It's like an auction game, but it's like area control. And so the way that it works is that there's a whole bunch of like little neighborhoods on this big map, which is on this big metallic island thing. It's not metallic, it's like it looks like it's like steampunky on the outside, but it's got all these different it's got like 5 different islands, but these islands have different neighborhoods inside of it. And so like a person will they have like a whole bunch of like 3D buildings that have numbers on the bottom of them, and everybody's number is like one higher than one another. And so they'll start bidding. So it's like I'll take like a 22, and I'm like, I bid 22 on this neighborhood, and if everybody passes, I win that neighborhood. But then the next person can say, okay, well, you know what? I actually want the neighborhood next to yours, so I'm going to bid 33 on that one. And then the next player can go, okay, well, I want that neighborhood for 45, so I'm going to bid 45 and take this neighborhood. And then the other player's like, you know what? I pass. I don't want to bid for any of these. I don't like the neighborhood spots that are here. And it's pretty cool because you collect these little discs, which improve what each neighborhood is going to give you, each different colored neighborhood. And so the more of those discs you collect, the more points you get. Well, it was kind of weird because it's like each neighborhood is only 2 victory points for each neighborhood that you have building on. There's like 4 different colored neighborhoods. But at first they're all worth 2. But if you get a disc, they're worth 3. If you get another disc, they're worth, I think, 5 or 4. And then if you get another disc, they're worth 6. And you're like, wow, I can get them to be worth 6. And then if you collect a 4th disc, they're not worth 8, they're worth 4. Which I was like, why do they go down in value? But then after that, it's like every disc you collect of that color after that is worth 10 points at the end of the game. So you can just kind of stockpile up on discs, but then all your neighborhoods are worth less. It was weird. Like, that to me was a weird design choice. I'm not sure why they did it, but I didn't understand that. That part to me was really weird, and I felt like I didn't want to go up past 4. I don't know. It was odd to me. I thought I didn't understand it. And then like I felt like I had like an engine of what I was doing throughout the game, and I felt like I was building up towards something really nice. And I felt like the guy next to me that I was playing with, my friend Joel, I felt like he was like just randomly picking stuff, but he ended up winning, and I just didn't understand what happened because I was like, man, I thought I was doing pretty good, but I guess I wasn't. It was an interesting game. I think I want to play it again to make sure that I understand how to play it, and then I might enjoy it a little bit more. But for me, it was still a fun game, and the table presence is ridiculous. I don't know, like 10 million people pass by the table and they're like, wow, Skyrise, that looks so good. And I'm like, of course it does. It looks really awesome. And it kind of felt like chessy at certain points. It felt like a chess game, but it was a really cool game. I liked it. My number 15 is a game called Through the Desert. This is a Reiner Knizia game. I think it's an old game that just got reprinted and they got taken up by Allplay. Allplay went ahead and produced this one, which was really cool looking, man. And it's this big map with hexagon space, and there's like these little palm tree oases, and you place like your little leader camels. Everybody has like 6 of them in different colors, and you place them all out on the map, and then you are trying to cut off areas. You start putting these little camels of the same color down to cut off little zones, and you get points for like every single little hexagon that's inside your area that you closed off on the map. You get hexagon points for all the hexagons inside of it. You also get like 5 points for touching a palm tree, and if you can touch all the different palm trees with different caravans, and you're just creating different caravans of different colored camels and trying not to cross into one another and take each other's territory. But there is a lot of that where you're like cutting each other off to try to. The game starts off like people just taking little pieces, like, hey, I'm gonna take this little 3, and I'm gonna take a 2, I'm gonna take a 1, and then at a certain point you're like, I'm gonna start cutting you off, like you're not getting into my zone, and it gets real cutthroat towards the end, which I absolutely loved. And I like this game so much I ended up picking up a copy of it, and it's really nice because it's got screen printed meeples for the deluxe copy. But if you get just a regular one, it has these little plastic ones, but those are just as nice. Some people prefer them. I like the screen printed meeples. So that was my number 15. My number 14 game is actually a game that was sent to me before, so I actually got to play it before the convention, but got to play it at the convention as well. And that was a game called Cities. It's created by Devere, and it's actually by, guess who? Phil Walker Harding, praise be, right? And so Phil Walker Harding created this Cities game, and to me, it reminded me a little bit of King Domino, but a little bit more complex. And you're drafting, like, they have this board where they have city tiles, which are, not hexagon, but they're like little square tiles that have like 4 little squares. They're made up of 4 different squares. And then you can draft objective cards, and you can also draft little buildings to put on your city's tiles. And then you can also draft, what was the other thing you draft on there? I totally forgot. But honestly, I really like this game, and I have a review coming out for it soon. They had sent me the copy, and it came in right before I went to con. So I'm going to go ahead and put that review out soon, which, by the way, Devere is awesome, by the way. They have been, honestly, I've worked with a lot of companies, and Devere has treated me so well, man. Even at the convention, they have been amazing. They also sent me a copy of Rock Hard 1977, which is also a really good game, and I'm going to do a review of that one. But Cities was really good, man. Like, I like it because it was such a simple game. It didn't feel super overly complicated, but it's like the perfect game to play with like 2 people. And I like the 2-player mode because you get to draft like up to like 8 things, which is really nice when it's your turn. And so you go for like 4 rounds, so you're able to draft about 8 or 9 tiles or whatever it is. I forgot what it was, but it was really, really cool. And so I really like Cities, and you're just building up cities and things like that. It feels like a King Domino, a little bit more complex. If I'm comparing the two, the thing that I like about King Domino is how simple it is, and I think that's the reason why it works so well. But if you are looking for something slightly more complex, like it's not like a brain burner thinky thing, but if you were looking for something a little bit more complex than King Domino, Cities is that game, and it is fantastic. You definitely should give that one a try. It was one of the hottest games at the con. Everybody was playing it. Then we have Detective Club. Now, my number 13. The reason why this one came up so high was because I got to play this with Joey Evans from Dice Tower. He was so nice. Like, he came, like, with the Dice Tower people, and this is something that if you're ever going to go to a Dice Tower event, a lot of people wonder, you know, what it's like. It's like, do you actually get to play with some of the Dice Tower people? They are usually so busy that it's, like, very rare when you can actually play. At the convention, not only did I see all of the Dice Tower people, but I also saw Board Game Co., Alex, I saw Professor Meg, I saw Grant Lyon, I saw, oh man, I always forget his name, but he was from TikTok and he was awesome. And I saw a lot of like YouTube like content creators, but a lot of them just were like hard to like get to lock in to play a game. They had their group that they came with, but I totally understand that, because going to con as like 9 to 5 gamers, like I didn't go there to stream or anything like that, and I kind of just wanted to be with my friends and hang out. So I could understand if somebody like recognizes you and you want to play a game and they're kind of like, oh, you know, I came with my friends and I'm just kind of trying to be on vacay, you know what I mean, and get away. So I could understand that, but I didn't get to play with a lot of people, and they didn't really, you know, reach out to me. Although Professor Meg did invite me to play with them, and I really wish that I would have taken the opportunity, but I was already involved in a game of Tapestry, so that wasn't going to happen. So I was like, that's fine. But after that, I just never got the chance. So Professor Meg, thank you for inviting me to play. I think they were going to play. They were playing mostly party games, but next time I'll be able to play with them. And Board Game Co. and all you guys, if you guys ever want to, you know, hang out, play games, I'm down. But yeah, it was hard to play with people, but the cool part was that we were in there looking for a game to play, and Joey Evans just pops up and he goes, hey, y'all want to play Detective Club? And we were like, oh, what's that about? And like, that's a lot of people in my group were like, and I was like, yes we do, because anytime somebody from Dice Tower invites you to play, you just say yes. You don't ask what the game is about, you just say yes. And so I was like, that's fine. And so I had never heard of this game. I didn't know what it was about, and I heard that it was really hard to find, and it's like one of those like out of print games, and that I don't know if they're gonna print it again, but this game was great. It was literally Chameleon, which is a game that I love playing already, which is like one of those games where you're like trying to deduce who's the person who's doesn't know what's going on. And so Detective Club, though, is literally the combination of Dixit and the Chameleon. And so you have like these Dixit style cards in your hand. I think you got like 5 or 6 of them. And somebody will, they have like these, like, depending on how many players you have, they have a whole bunch of little notepads, and then they write a word on the same word. Like they'll pick a word like ocean, and they'll write ocean on all the pads except for one. And so they'll pass these pads around, and then you'll take the pad and look at it, and it'll say ocean, or it might just be blank and say nothing. And then you're like, uh-oh, I don't know what the word is. And then everybody's picking cards and pushing them out. And so the person who wrote the word, or who wrote down the word, the secret word, they play a card that matches the word. And so you know that that person's not it. And so then the next person goes and they put down something, and you're like, what does that have to do with the ocean? And you're trying to figure out who's the one that's not supposed to be here. You know what I mean? Who has the blank book. Really, really fun. We had a blast playing. Joey cracked us all up. He was just joking around and having a good time. He is literally one of the nicest people I've ever met. And, you know, he invited us to hang out with them later on in September. And we were like, yo, of course we will. Like, he's such a cool guy, man. I really appreciate you. Joey, you're awesome, bro. Joey Evans, super nice, super kind. And I appreciated him playing with us. That game was great. My number 12 is a game called NAR, which is no in Australian. Just joking. But yeah, NAR was interesting. It's okay. NAR was interesting, and it's like a Viking game, but it's like set collection. I'm trying to think what it's like. There was a game that I compared it to. I don't remember what game that was. But it's interesting because you're collecting Vikings of different colors, and there's like 5 different colored Vikings. Their cards are like red, blue, yellow, purple, green, right? And so you're collecting Vikings and putting them into a tableau in front of you, and every time you do that, you collect like little resources. And then at a certain point, you're going to trade those Vikings in for objective cards that are called like voyages or something like that, and there's like little ships on them, and so you want to take a voyage by sending some of your Vikings out, and you send out Vikings to match the criteria. So you send out like one of each color, or 3 of the same color, 3 of different colors, or sometimes it'll be like every single color, and then you get victory points for doing that. You also get to increase your fame. Fame gets you points every single round, so the higher you get your fame marker, the more points you get in between rounds. So that's what I did. Like everybody else was trying to go on these voyages, but I was like, that reputation thing seems kind of broken. So I just increased my rep all the way to the end of the track, which was 5 points per round. And even though I was like behind at the end of the game, I ended up rocketing ahead and I ended up winning that game, which was awesome. And Yonar, for the price and for what it is, Pandasaurus, another banger. Like that game was phenomenal. That's another game that I'm going to add to my personal list of games I wanted to buy, because that game was just super, super incredible. I love Nar, man. Like I know a lot of people have been talking about it, but that's a game I could see myself playing a lot, which by the way, I got this Dice Tower map. Pretty, right? Anyway, so Nar is my number 12. Super easy to play, super easy to teach, and super fun. It was great. And my number 11, final one of this video, and then we're going to go to the next video. But my number 11 was a game called Forest Shuffle. Wow. Forest Shuffle's great, man. So Forest Shuffle is a card game. It's just a card game, and you have this big clearing. It's like this big, like, cardboard thing that you put all the cards on. Kind of reminds me of like Ark Nova, but there's nothing on it. It's just like a forest, and it's really long, and it's just like a forest space. But you have your deck of cards, and what you do on your turn is that you need to plant trees into your like forest. So you have like your tableau. It's like a tableau builder. And but the cool part is that once you place a tree, some of those trees have abilities, and they make you take cards from the deck and put them into the clearing, which are cards that you can draft later on. And then you need to populate your trees with animals, but the animals have abilities. So like if you put a butterfly, the cool thing about the cards though is that every card has 2 animals on it. There's a left animal and a right animal. So the card has a split in the middle, and it has 2 animals, a left one and a right one. And then you put those, depending what ability you want to use, you put it either on the right side if you want like the warthog, or you put it on the left side if you want like the bobcat ability. And it's cool because once you put it in there, you trigger these abilities, and then you got to pay for it. So it's got like this Marvel Champions kind of thing where it's like this card costs 2, and so you can pay with two other cards from your hand, and when you discard cards, you put them in the clearing for other people to take, or for maybe you to take later on if you want to take it. But yeah, and then you can also, there's not only cards that are split down the middle for left and right, but there's cards that are split in half, top and bottom. So you can put like owls, birds, butterflies at the top. You can put like mice and rodents and different fruits and mushrooms at the bottom of the trees that have like continuous effects. Man, this game was so cool, man. And the combo triggers, not really combos, but like the different triggers that let you do different things. It's like, hey, if you collect 4 birch trees, each tree is worth like 5 points or something like that. And it was really cool, man. And then there's like a bear that like, if you have like if there's like 10 cards in the if there's like 9 or 10 cards in the clearing, if you happen to get a bear on a tree, the bear will say, take all of the cards from the clearing and put them into your cave, which is off to the side, and every card that's in the cave scores you a point. And it's like, bro, if you can trigger a bear twice when it's like 10 cards, you can get like 20-30 points easy, and the points go up super high. Dude, this game was great, man. Like, if anybody tells you Forest Shuffle's good, believe them. It is definitely worth the hype. I think that it's a game that I'm not sure if I would own it. I don't know why, but nature games just for some reason don't work for me all the time. Like, I liked Meadow, but I ended up getting rid of it. I liked Earth fine, but it wasn't as good as I felt like everybody said it was. I wasn't the biggest fan of Wingspan. Do I just not like Our Planet? Like, what is going on with me? Why do I not like nature games? No, I like Planted. Planted is a great game. I'm trying to think of other nature games that I like. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just nature theme. But I did like, no, I like Forest Shuffle. Forest Shuffle's great. But yeah, it's really, really nice. If you like nature themed games, you will love this game. And it's easy to teach. It's not hard to play. And it doesn't take a super long time. You're talking like maybe 45 minutes. With a couple of people, 45 to an hour. If you're playing with just 2 people, you could play maybe 30 to 45 minutes. It's not long. It's super fun. That's why it made it up to my number 11. But that is my list, and the next top 10 is going to be even better with all the games that I absolutely loved, and I can't wait to share those games with you. But as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you are here and you want to support the channel, honestly, liking these videos and subscribing is already an amazing way to help the channel. Please do that. But another way you can support the channel is for only $1 a month. You can, for $1 a month, you can actually support the channel. And I try to do exclusive content. I haven't been doing that for the last couple of weeks, but again, I've been sick and a whole bunch of other stuff has happened. So I apologize for that, but everything's going to go right back to the way that it was. But there's exclusive content, early content, and a lot of other stuff. So consider being a member, because membership is awesome. So anyways, thank you guys for tuning into this video. I will check you guys out later in the comment section. Let me know, what was your favorite game you played at a convention? Put it in the comment section. Love you guys. See you later.